your life doesn't just magically change after career burnout. You don't go from burnout to your dream life. And that's something I feel like people don't talk about. At least I really haven't seen anyone talk about it. And that's what I'm going to talk about in today's video. Just that middle part after you've left the job, the career, or maybe closed your business from career burnout, in that middle part. So I burnt out a few years ago in corporate leadership, the good six-figure good job, like my parents would say. And of course, burnout presents differently for everyone. For me, I just had become so overwhelmed with the work. I was leading a very large team. It was a lot of expectations on me. I had accomplished a lot in the role. I was doing great. Um, but I was just, at the time, I didn't know what it was. I just knew that something was off with me. And for me, burnout looked like, and here's the thing too, it's so crazy because flashback to today. Like I've talked to so many women who have experienced this, especially like ambitious women, overachieving women. But for me, burnout looked like me always being exhausted, like, and I mean like exhausted in a way that sleep does not help with. I was also 60 pounds overweight. Yes, 60, like that's crazy. I chopped it up to just like getting older, but it was burnout that I found out later. I was at when my burnout got really bad, because of course this happened over like a period of time. It was like a slow escalation. When I was at the like peak of my burnout, I was on not one but two types of prescription anxiety medication. And I had just come to the conclusion like I cannot do this anymore, because I knew that the work itself wasn't going to change. I knew that the environment itself wasn't going to change, and I knew the expectations of me in the role were not going to change. So I just knew that the only way for me to get any relief was to leave the role. After I left the role, I took a sabbatical. And I think every woman should take a sabbatical at some point in their life. That's just a side note. I can do a whole nother video on that. But this my sabbatical was not planned like to be a sabbatical. Um, I I had put in my 4 weeks notice in the position that I was in. I had to do a 4 week notice. I put in my notice, and I had come to like the final interviews with another company. And I was going back and forth with some of the salary negotiations. And for whatever reason, we just could not come to an agreement. And looking back on it again, hindsight is 2020. It was nothing but God, because there was no way that I needed to jump from one job that I was like burnt to a crisp from right into another job. So even though we couldn't come to salary agreement with that particular job, I decided like, okay, I'm gonna still take the leap. I'm gonna leave this job, and I'm not gonna immediately jump into another job. Like, I'm gonna take this sabbatical. I'm gonna take some time off of work. And boy, did I need that. I took the sabbatical, and I just, like at the time, I didn't know, like, oh, I'm going to redesign my life. I'm going to reinvent myself. Like, none of that was on my mind. I was just like, I need a break. I just need a break. And I took the time to really heal my mind and body, still talk to my therapist regularly, sometimes 2 times a week during that season. I took the time to learn again what brought me joy. I volunteered at organizations that I really cared about. I traveled a little bit. I met new friends. Like when you're an ambitious woman and you're a high achiever or overachiever, or however you want to classify that, you get so wrapped up in these corporate careers that like you don't you don't have time for yourself. You don't have time for the things that you love. It's just all work, work, work. So during my sabbatical, I met new friends. It was like the best time of my life. I'm just like thinking about that time now. I have my notes here too, just so I can keep on track and don't get too long winded. So after the sabbatical, of course, you have to go back to work. I mean, we have to we have to pay these bills, so you have to go back to work after your sabbatical. So after my sabbatical, I went back into corporate America, and what changed after sabbatical for me was being acutely aware of how I was feeling in my body, like really listening to my body and paying attention when my body was giving me signals. I was also paying, what also changed was me paying attention to my capacity. And when I say capacity, I'm not just talking about like how much work you can take on or how many more team members you can lead or what new projects can you execute. I'm also talking about capacity in a way where you ask yourself, what deserves this level of access to me and my time? Have you ever asked yourself a question like that? What deserves this level of access to me and my time? Like really understanding your capacity. I also got very clear on my ambition. And after burnout, of course, your ambition does not go away, especially when like overachiever, perfectionist, that type of stuff is deeply rooted in you. It does not just go away after burnout. And I'm glad that I took the time to kind of understand that. But I did rewrite or reimagine what ambition was going to look like for me after burnout. And what I am focused on is sustainable ambition, not just because, of course, we can be ambitious. We can set the high goals, we can have the vision, we can build the strategy, but I'm also talking about the execution of it. So not only are ambitious women like you probably watching this video are good at, leading the vision, the strategy, but also at executing or putting people in place to execute. So what that looks like for me now is I'm not doing that at the cost of my well being. Like, get somebody else to do it. Get somebody else to do it. I just had to be honest with myself again that my ambition is still there. I still believe in doing good work. I still deeply care about my work. I still want to do meaningful work, but I'm not doing it at the expense of my well being. And I want to encourage you to not do it at the cost of your well being as well. So, those are some of the things that changed for me after burnout. What didn't change was I kind of just spoke about it, but I have my bullet points. So, what didn't change was that I am still ambitious. I just changed my mindset around ambition and my relationship with ambition, because still after the burnout I've achieved great things. I've written a book, started a new business. Like, I'm still finding success. I'm just doing it in a more intentional and aligned way, putting my well-being first. Your well-being has to come first, because my grandmother used to say, like, you can't pour from an empty cup. Like, we're around here working on these jobs and in these careers, but if you run yourself to the ground, like, you're not going to be there to even do any work. Also, let me just add, I'm not interested anymore in hard work. Like, no, no, I'm not interested in that. I'm not, because I feel like in this modern time, people equate hard work to like working and doing anything at the cost of yourself, your health, mental, physical, emotional, whatever that is. And I'm not interested in that. What I am interested in is doing good work. I'm interested in doing meaningful work. And I really do care about what I do, how I do it, how I present it. So it's not about not wanting to work. People who, women, who are listening to this video, lazy ain't nowhere in my DNA. So it's not about not working. And I know for ambitious women like yourself, lazy is not in our DNA. We want to do good, meaningful work that we deeply care about. Sorry if y'all can hear that siren in the background. So the purpose of this video, this middle part here, again, because you don't go from burnout to your dream life. Even for people who have set out the most elaborate plans, it just does not happen like that. I am still, after burnout years later, navigating life in this new space where you have new values, you have new ways that you want to work, navigating your finances. I have debt, I have student loans. You're still navigating things. I'm still in a place of navigating I'm building a business. So again, you just don't go from burnout to your dream life. There's things that you still have to navigate, even navigating the direction you want to take, because the job that you get after you've burned out still might not be like your dream career. It might not be your dream job or the most aligned work. It might just be that middle point to get you away from the place that burnt you out to a little bit more stable place while you continue to work toward the place you actually want to be, whether that's a career, a job, a business that you want to start. There's still space after burnout where you have to navigate that. And I just feel like people don't talk about that. What I am focused on now after burnout is one, sustainable ambition. I call it easeful ambition. And again, it's just still having your vision, your dreams, the things that you want to accomplish, but moving in a way where basically your nervous system is calm and that you're not running yourself into the ground. You can still accomplish your goals, your dreams, your vision, but you don't have to do it at the cost of your health and your well-being. So I'm focused on easeful slash sustainable ambition. I'm also focused on creative wellness. And for me, that means using creativity in many forms to take care of yourself. That's something I'll be talking about more in a different video as well. And what I'm also very focused on is rest. And when I say rest, I'm talking about all the types of rest. There are 7 different types of rest for a reason. So rest goes beyond just physical rest that we talk about. So I'm deeply, deeply connected to rest and listening to my body and just understanding when it's time to stop and when it's time to rest. Because one thing I'm going to do is I am going to rest. And lastly, what I'm focused on is just building this life that doesn't cost me my well-being. And I know so many women, ambitious women who are used to being, overachievers or recovering perfectionists like I am. Again, we want to do good work. We want to do meaningful work. It's not like we don't want to work. We just want to be able to work and build our lives in a way that does not cost us our well-being. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. If any of this resonates with you, let me know down in the comments. And if you're still here, I'm Erica Prevail, and starting today is the first day, I will share daily conversations for ambitious women to help you rebuild or redesign your relationship with ambition, capacity, rest, and creativity. Until tomorrow, bye.